Hey Terry, I got a quick question for you, man. If you had to pick a song from any movie soundtrack, what song would you serenade somebody over the phone with?
You've lost that love and feeling.
Welcome back to the Almost Sideshow. My name is Adam, and that is Terry serenading your earwaves. We are here breaking down another episode of Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul.
One is titled Bali High. Season 2,
Yes.
Episode 6, which debuted March 21st, 2016.
Yes, it's great to be back.
Yeah, we have taken a couple weeks off.
When the podcast is like, your side project of your life, sometimes life happens. And then when you have a sideshow that is a side project of the side project, like life really happens. So we've been taking a couple week hiatus, taking care of some stuff. We're back. I'm excited to be back. This is going to be a lot of fun to dive back into this. We got halfway through season 2 and I had to take a couple week break. I had to go back and read my synopsis from the episode before, just so I remember all the stuff that had just happened before we dove into this episode.
Some people would say life moves pretty fast. If you don't slow down, you might just miss it.
Boom, boom. That's another good one. That is another good one.
Yeah, see, sets you up.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a fun episode. It's good to be back watching the Better Call Saul, getting that in that universe. Just funny enough, there was not much Saul in this episode, but we still got enough goodness from him. And this was they all always seem to be a very solid entry. So it's really good to be back here. And I had a feeling I didn't realize he was going to serenade South Pacific, but the title, I knew exactly what that was from. So.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting how they tie that into the title, but we'll see. But that's before we start rambling. What's this episode about?
Let's do it. Here's the synopsis for Better Call Saul, season 2, episode 6, entitled Bali High.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna serenade you as we go into it. Jimmy can't sleep. He plays games, he watches TV, complete with the boring version of his commercial. He leaves South Pacific songs for Kim. The only thing that relaxes him is his old sofa bed in the nail salon, which makes sense because he can't take a breath at Davis and Maine anymore without Aaron taking note. Kim, on the other hand, has been put on the new Mesa Verde case, even if Howard obviously hates it and won't talk to her. She is also still working the Sandpiper case and sent to court to argue a losing battle all by herself. However, in doing so, she draws the attention of Schweikart, the lead defending counsel of Sandpiper. He takes Kim out to lunch, has a drink, and offers her a job, since it's looking like HHM might be a dead end for her. Kim wants to be loyal, but she can only take so much of Howard trying to punish her. Instead of doing his bidding, she decides instead to go out for lunch at the bar and have one of Schweikart's favorite drinks while she considers calling him.
Mm-hmm.
This draws the attention of a fellow solo drinker. She decides to call Jimmy so they can work a little one over on him.
Work a little magic.
Work a little magic here. Got a live one on the hook. $10,000 check and a night in Kim's bed later, and all ill will seems to be gone between Jimmy and Kim. Jimmy tries to convince Kim to take the job, even though it doesn't feel right. It's the right thing to do, even though Jimmy is suffering through choosing the right thing to do with the Davis and Maine job. All right, now let's get caught up with Mike. After being asked to do the Salamanca family a favor, people start popping up, wanting to know his decision on whether he would help Tuco get out early. Mike declines the offer, which leads to men breaking into his house to intimidate and scare him into saying yes. Well, Mike catches them instead and scares them. So now the cousins show up and threaten his family. Now we have a problem. He goes to a meetup with Hector, the cousins, and Nacho, where Hector says to take the deal or his family dies. No money left on the table. Mike starts negotiating. Not only is there a deal on the table, it's no longer $5,000, it's now $50,000. Hector, impressed by Mike's cojones and that a man with cojones like that has lived as long as he has, agrees to the deal. Mike gives half his $50,000 to Nacho as an apology for not doing half the job. Tuco will be back sooner than they wanted.
Yeah, a little confused at the timeline. So obviously it's when Todd was on for Gloves Off and he went to prison, we're like, oh yeah, this is going to be like it's leading up to Breaking Bad. This is probably the last time we see him. But now that if he's like, is there a possibility that we see Tuco again? And does he go to jail for a different thing? That's yeah. I think I do like our theory that he gets out shortly before the events of Breaking Bad. There's a big time difference between this show and that show, but that it's fascinating to see Mike's mind work because I had no idea what he was doing with that, like the paper and the welcome mat.
Oh, I was trying to figure out what all he had, and he had the welcome mat, and I was trying to see what else he had, and my wife was one that caught it, said it's carbon paper. And once she caught it was carbon paper, it's like it's gonna track who steps on the mat. So yeah, that if she hadn't caught that, I wouldn't have figured out what was going on.
Yeah, because I saw he puts on the mat and he slides two things on. That's the carbon paper. I didn't pick up on that either. So, but then right when he starts, he's like he lifts it. I'm like, oh, that's so smart. Like that's super smart. Obviously, we would expect nothing less than from Mike. But so that whole stuff is pretty fascinating. The whole Salamanca and Mike angle of this show right now. Right when they're in the swimming pool and he looks over, the music changes and so that becomes like a horror movie. And the cousin's like, to like, oh, I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna kill that poor innocent 9 to 3-year-old or however she's supposed to be in this show. Anyway, but that's
and they only show up when Tuco's in trouble. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, this is true because who cares about Hector? No, I'm just talking. But no, that is a good point actually. They're like the big guns, but it's really cool to see them though. Their intro into this show was done really well because wasn't really quite expecting it, this soon because it kind of just happened. It's been a couple of weeks for us, but it just happened essentially. It's done such effectively, and there's some really good moments in this show, so in this episode rather. So I dig it. I know the Kim stuff is really interesting. Her proposition of possibly leaving HHM, that's kind of it's going to the competition. I think that's kind of a fascinating. It's a good deal. You would have to contemplate it for sure. Don't get a whole lot of Saul here, but we showed not a whole lot of one-liners, but I think there is some fun moments there for him anyway. But solid episode. It's definitely a solid episode that kind of feels more Breaking Bad than anything because of all the players in it, but than a Saul show, but still really done really well.
Yeah, we get the look at, we got those three main characters, right? It's Jimmy, Kim, and Mike. And it's easy to focus on the Mike stuff because it's the Breaking Bad tie-ins and stuff. The fallout from Tuco, we get Hector, we get the cousins, we get all that stuff. He's got the most dramatic moments because you have the Breaking Bad tension in several scenes. Like I wrote down the two best scenes I have are both Mike centric. But I think we'd be doing a disservice if you ignore some of the other stuff that's going on too. Well,
my best scene is not Mike centric.
Okay. Well then there's other great stuff going on, but let's keep talking about Mike then, because we'll get into best scene. And I think the best scene is the meetup, the showdown between Mike and Hector. Like you get those two and seeing them kind of go toe to toe like that is, it's so good. It's so good because no one stands up to Hector Salamanca, right? No one stands up to him. And yet you have Mike being Mike before he has any cred, standing up to Hector, and Hector having to look at him and say, respect, man.
That is right. Okay.
You've got something here. Like, you get this. And my wife's thought was even, well, what if Mike meets Gus simply because he's garnered Hector's respect?
Yeah, you said something right there that it's the hard part of watching the show with the knowledge of what happens in Breaking Bad. He doesn't have that kind of that street cred level yet.
Mike is an unknown commodity in this whole thing.
That's a great. Where's that clip? That's a great pull.
But he's still the smartest guy in the room.
He is,
even in a room with a fully functional Hector Salamanca.
Fully functional,
and that's why I like my favorite line of the whole episode is,
not worried about it.
How have you lived this long? And with I don't remember. It's like, it's
with a mouth
basically
like
how
that.
How have you lived? Yeah, how have you lived this long with balls like that? Basically,
yeah.
It's like that with no cred, no backup. You come walking in here, and not only
at this point either.
Yeah, when I'm gonna say do it or your family's dead, and instead you walk out of here with 10 times the amount of money I originally offered you. Like, what?
Smart.
Look
at the balls on Mike.
Yeah, I love that scene. And then the other one, since we're still kind of focusing on Mike a little bit, is the raid on Mike's house.
Yeah,
like when he sees there's somebody in here, he goes in gun drawn, he's checking for everything, and having the wherewithal to turn on the TV and then to flush the guys out, and then just pistol whip the crap out of them and leave them late. It's like, we're just gonna scare you to say yes. And like, you needed 2 guys to do that.
You need 2 guys to send a message. Yeah, come on.
And like, he's got the upper hand no matter what is going on. And then the subtlety then of him cleaning his hand and his gun of the blood from pistol whipping those guys, like that was such a cool subtle scene after it. I loved like everything with Mike, but those 2 scenes in particular were outstanding.
Very good scenes. And the Arturo, I think that's the guy, the main one of the henchmen's names. He's got a good look. But not gonna. I don't know. Obviously, we don't see him in Breaking Bad, so who knows what happens in Saul. But cool to see a different type of henchman as well. More of the bumbling idiots on the Salamancas, because they're so cold and calculated, or cold and calculated.
Well, because he's not a Salamanca. He works for the Salamanca.
He works. Yeah, good point. But I don't even know who the other guy. I just have him as other henchman. Because they're not important. But Arturo, they gave that guy a name, so obviously he must be coming back for some other episodes too in the IMDb listing. So we'll watch that with some interest, I guess. But yeah, it's cool to see those sequences, especially the home invasion one. That was kind of like him sneaking on his house. It's pretty awesome. I also like the scene with Nacho as well. They were talking about Mike.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, that's really good. Because it just kind of shows the respect that Mike would have for Nacho. It's like, and he's not just going to take the money and run. He's like, no, this is yours. Because there's going to be some headache now that I have to do this deal because I've kind of they're forcing my hand to do so.
Well, and it shows just how much integrity Mike has too.
Yeah, that's a better word.
Like, I'll do what I'm paid to do, but if I don't get the job done, I'm not gonna get paid. So.
Essentially, I took $25,000 so that way I can say yes, it's my gun. But I'll give you the other 25. Yeah, good stuff. My favorite scene, I like the luncheon with Kim and Richard. I think that is a very good Schweihart. Yeah. I think that's the whole scene is so interesting. It's a guy, slimy lawyer type of character. And like, who knows how you feel about that guy? Because that's obviously the other opposition there. But when he sees something and has a relatable story to Kim's situation, and it's hard to not think about that deal, especially like, we'll pay off your law school. You don't have to work it off. We'll pay it for you, or or be able to pay it for you so you can work with us, and you won't be in Sandpiper. We're not going to talk about their wheelings and dealings, so that's a conflict of interest and probably illegal too. But it's always like Kim's thinking about it, and then eventually she's like, well, I see this big douchebag over here. Not quite Ken wins, but this guy goes into the Kim's. It's two different scenes, obviously, but same location. But yeah, that luncheon with Kim and Swinehart is really good. Good scene. I like that a lot, because you could just see it's like, oh wow, it's actually this guy that I may not like is actually spinning a lot of truth in a very relatable way. So yeah, it's kind of. Howard is not is probably doing that to her as well.
Yeah, slimy lawyer, but at the same time, and even go back to when he popped up before, when the whole Sandpiper thing first started, like undeniably likable. Like when he opens his mouth, you have to. That's like there's something about him that like, okay, you gotta at the least respect this guy, and you might even like him because he's just got that charisma to him of, oh, that's how you ended up where you are. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one too. That was a really good scene.
Like the Mike stuff though, for sure. It's hard not to like that stuff, but the one scene I was like, I just appreciate it because Kim's such a good character. Probably one of the better characters. Obviously, she's the best her and Nacho are the two best new characters, but Kim is such one of the best well-written characters here, and a character that you're getting invested more and more. I'm probably more invested in what's happening with her than even what's happening with Saul, honestly.
Yeah,
at this point, because Kim's she's got her finger, like she's invested in a lot of the show, which is cool. So other than the Mike stuff, of course, but Kim, just a great character. So I had to pick her for the favorite scene.
Yeah, good call. All right, the Betsy Kettleman douchebag award goes to. Well,
I don't know. I was thinking about this too. No, they're not douchebag. No, yeah, I got to go with Dale.
Yeah, he's the only option.
Yeah, because I was before we dive into Dale here, I was thinking for a second. I was like, well, they clearly went with that old boring commercial, the scent, Davis and Maine,
the old boring formula for the commercial.
But at the same time, it was basically teaching Mike a lesson because he didn't do the right procedure, I think too. But so I'm like, yeah, they're not really douchebag. That's what did I say?
You said Mike.
Well,
nobody teaches Mike a lesson.
Yeah, he teaches them a lesson.
Not even Hector Salamanca.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, back on target, Adam. The douchebag is Dale here. Clearly, had a nice luncheon with some other pretty gal. Kisses her on the way out, and immediately tries to hit up on Kim there. So that was like, yep, that's my mark. That's who I'm gonna get some money out of, or a souvenir out of. So
according to IMDb credits, Anitra Atler plays Dale's wife.
Oh, that's his wife.
That I didn't notice that there was a ring, but apparently, according to the IMDb cast listing, that was wife he was smooching goodbye before he bought Kim a drink, which adds to the douchiness.
Well, and it adds to it, but also adds more questions because wait, is that like a hotel? Is it a condo or it's a lunch? I think
it's a hotel bar.
Okay, so that's okay. Then that makes more sense. Okay, I was like, because you don't really see. At least I don't remember if you see them going into it. They're just there. So
yeah, I think it's a hotel bar, and it kind of feels like it might even be the same hotel bar that they met Ken Wins. I don't know. Could be.
Lighting's everything.
Yeah, but it's like midday. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying it was a lot darker looking when Ken Wins So that's
True.
It could make everything look
Regardless, it's
douchebag.
douchebag. Like as soon as I saw him saddle up next to her, I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man. And she saw it too. So she knows exactly what she's dealing with. So when she calls Jimmy, you're like, oh, ho, 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 ho. She just found herself the new Ken Wins.
Yeah, and Jimmy was like a boy in a candy shop because he was all giddy as all can be. He's like, "What am I dealing with? What's the play?" I love it.
Yep. Well, he was just happy that she called him.
Yeah,
But yeah, Dale definitely the douchebag. I mean, if you want to go with anybody else, Howard, like
not showing up.
Come on, dude, not showing up, and then given the complete cold shoulder. Attempting to, at least. He just kind of looked like a robot until he walked into the room. But yeah, Howard was a pretty big douchebag in this episode too.
Yeah, good point.
Just the way he's treating her, yeah, not cool, man, not cool. All right, stick man award. I went with Schweikart.
Oh, no, yeah.
Just because he's got the power and he's got the charisma, and like I said, he's slimy, but you can't help but like him. He tosses out pithy little jokes to a waiter, and the waiter's got to laugh because it's coming from him. Like that dude's got something, and he might sweet talk his way all the way into getting Kim over to his firm and maybe over to his hotel room. Like you got to think that's in the back of his head. That has to be.
Or the waiter. No, anyway. Okay. Anyway, no, I'm just joking. That's a good one. Yeah, that's. I didn't think about that, but I can definitely see it. There's definitely some years of stickmanery going on for him. Sure. Mm-hmm. Honorable mention. I have Saul, not because of the one night stand, but because it wasn't quite wood. Well, yeah, but it was it wasn't quite what he was dealing with. It was more like iron, but he was able to handle his iron pretty well. In the very end of the shot, popping off that cup holder. So
I thought you were gonna say it wasn't quite wood, but I think it was wicker. Those
those
balls he was tossing.
He's fake bowling.
He knows how to handle his balls.
Yeah, that's true. My stick man is Bill Mays.
That's fair. That's fair. Chia.
Well, yeah, that's it's that. Well, yeah, because they say plant your seed. That's what they say in that commercial too. But he's the guy that when they turn the TV on, when those the commercial comes on for when they turn on he's doing that whole, like there's two guys are in the Mike's house and he turns the TV on. That's it.
Oh, that's guy. What the infomercial. I know who Billy Mays is. I remember.
I know you do, but yeah, it's that infomercial. That's what I'm
right.
talking about.
I was trying to remember what he turned on, but yeah, I know it was Jimmy. I even wrote it down. Jimmy started with
was Saul. Oh no,
Jimmy. Yeah, he watched Chia Pet and then he watched C-SPAN. And then he watched the national anthem being played while a flag, like what random channel just shows a flag and plays the national anthem at 2 a.m.? Like that doesn't make any sense. And then the Davis and Maine commercial.
Marco.
So apparently. Yeah. Good call. All right. Best new face. Hey, that's Danny Trejo. Goes to.
I guess Dale. There's two, but Stephen Flynn. I guess he was in a lot of shows of Justified, and he was in a lot of stuff, like prominent stuff. And his IMDb page has some interesting like nuggets of TV shows that he was in.
Yeah, he was in 2 episodes of JAG.
Yeah,
1 episode of NCIS. Recently, 9 episodes of Bosch. 1 episode of NCIS LA. Yeah, he's just one of those. 1 episode of Lie to Me. One of those TV actors that just works his way around. Grey's Anatomy, Medium, The Closer, Numbers, CSI New York.
His IMDb page, that's Justified. Has to be Justified. That has to be his biggest thing.
Yeah, 3 episodes of Justified.
Only 3? Okay, then what's this picture of then?
I don't know.
Maybe that is. Oh, it's The Invisible Man from 2000. The Invisible Man. A thief and a con man is given the means to become invisible and ends up working for a government agency. It's a TV show. TV series from 2000 to 2002. It's 2 hours long. That's his IMDb photo.
NYPD Blue, Party of 5, ER. Like, name a TV show.
He's probably been in it.
He was in one episode of The Invisible Man. West Wing.
What? Then why would that be your IMDb photo? That's so
Because
weird.
it's a good photo. The X-Files, Crossing Jordan, Firefly, Star Trek Enterprise.
The X-Files.
The Practice. Jag,
West
The
Wing.
Guardian. Yeah, like he's got
ER.
He's one of those faces that you saw him and like I was like, he looks familiar, and then I had to check. Like, nope, wasn't in Breaking Bad. Like he could have been a Ken Wins had popped back up.
Yeah.
All right,
Ally
that's
McBeal,
a good one.
Wings. Yeah, he's been in a lot of shows for sure. That's so crazy.
All right, so I've got originally I wrote down Arturo, but then
he doesn't.
but he hasn't really been in much. So eventually, I moved on to Mario Perez, who plays Arturo's henchman, the guy number 2 in Mike's
what I didn't
house.
even look at. Yeah.
And I went with him because he is quite a stunt man. Like he's done a decent amount of stunt work. In let's see here, he 222 stunt credits, mostly TV. So like SEAL Team, CSI Vegas, SWAT, NCIS LA, NCIS.
Griselda, that Sofia Vergara Netflix show.
Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Shameless. Westworld. Hollywood. Like
Penny
Blackish.
Dreadful.
911. Lucifer. The Good Place. Lethal Weapon. Get Shorty. The Last Ship.
Oh, there we go.
The Goldbergs. Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Animal Kingdom.
Black Panther. American Made, the Tom Cruise movie. Training Day, the TV show. 24. Like he's just done everything. Like 222 stunt credits. Like he's all over the place.
Sully.
And acting.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah, and he pops up like he was a guard in Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. He's got 61 acting credits. So if he's doing stunts, he can easily pop up and do something else too.
Well, that's
so
cool.
Like just the amount of stuff that he's popped up, and I was like, okay, I can shout out Arturo's henchman, even though that's like the worst credited thing ever. I'm credited as being the henchman to the henchman. Like that's
a name.
You don't even have a name. You have no chance. Yeah. So that's who I went with as best new face. And I think this is the only episode he pops up in. So shout out to Mario Perez and all your stunt work.
There we go.
Minor character of the episode. I can go first on this one. I'm going Omar. Jimmy's assistant. Like you can tell he's like in that one scene he's feeling for Jimmy as Aaron. Like Aaron asks for a date. He says the date, and then she has to look over his shoulder and pretend like he didn't even say it and say it again to confirm that that's actually what it is, because she just doesn't trust him at all. And
25th
Omar is like, this isn't cool, man. What's going on here? Yeah.
The 25th of September. Oh, September 25th. Yeah, we'll go with that too.
Yeah. I love it. What about you? Minor character.
I'm going to say the last name wrong. Miss Nguyen.
Nguyen.
Yeah, Gwen.
Nguyen. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, she's awesome. She pops up. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing here? Like, get out!" Like, yeah, I no other place gets a free car and free house and all this stuff. He's like,
I'm paid up.
I'm paid up. I'm kind of comfortable here. He's like, if you give me a fresh pot of coffee, I'll leave. So yeah, that's my minor character of this episode.
That's a great one.
I haven't given her a shout out at all, but no. So we'll give her.
She deserves a shout out.
Yeah.
How many episodes of Breaking Bad was she in? Was she in any? She had to be, right?
No, she was referenced. She's in only in 10 episodes of Better Call Saul.
But not in, okay. I thought she was the nail salon owner in.
No, they just showed an empty nail salon.
Oh,
so
something was going on there at one point.
No, that was the place they were going to launder money from. That's That's what they were.
Right. And but that's the whole point of having the nail salon is that he has the nail salon. So
Yeah. So somehow he buy. Well, I guess this is interesting. We never actually talked about this. How does he get the empty nail salon? Because she's not there. What happens to her?
Well, he doesn't. There's somebody there that knows, or that he knows that he trusts, that will do it all for him. Now, that's the whole point. Is like he had the in with the ownership at that place that would do what he wanted.
Okay. All right.
Like the arcade. He knows he can trust the owner, so buy the arcade and let this guy manage it. Same with the nail salon.
All right, that's a good point. Okay.
All right.
Moving
Best Saul one-liner.
There's not many. I tell you that.
Yeah, you're right. There aren't many.
Watched water never boils. I think that's
that was one of the ones I had down. A watch pot never boils.
Yeah, that's it.
Have you ever heard of a watch pot never boils? Yeah. That was a good one. Nothing else really from Saul. Like that was the one moment he had other than singing Bali High.
Bali High.
The other one that kind of sounded like a Saul line, like a Jimmy line, was when Schweikart finally gets his Moscow Mule. Would you have to go to Moscow to get it? Like that sounded like something that Jimmy would say, but it came from him, so it sounded like cool and endearing instead of like abrasive and dickish like it would have if it came from Jimmy. Yeah. So that was another one that I really liked.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Faster I get my coffee, the faster I'm out of here. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay. Best Breaking Bad reference.
Well, obviously the cousins. But I'm pretty sure didn't Walter do the same thing that Mike did in this episode where he was like, I'll shoot you or you're gonna give me more money, $50,000. Didn't he do that?
Well, his was more he went to Tuco with the stuff that looked like meth, but was his like magnesium oxide that he blew up Tuco's hideout instead.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very similar thing. And then he got his money. So yeah, having a standoff with the Salamanca and
very similar.
Yeah, Walt got called on his bluff where Mike didn't. That's good. So I went a little more specific because you have the cousins, but more specifically, you have a shot of those awesome skull boots.
Mm-hmm.
That like when we saw that, I was like, oh, the boots. They brought back the boots. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
This is true.
All right. Midlife crisis moment.
I want to bring a question up for Flaw out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go for it.
Why was Kim wearing a Kansas City Royals shirt?
I was wondering the same thing.
Because I'm like, did I miss something? Is she from Kansas City? Like, it's not because the last time they had a one night stand, she was wearing one of his shirts.
Mm-hmm.
They were at his house, but they were at her place. Mm-hmm. So, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Why was it a Kansas City shirt?
That's a great question.
And they're in Arizona, so it's not even like the Diamondbacks would be the closest one, or New Mexico. But Arizona is the closest. The team would be the closest team. So, it wasn't them. Because it could make sense where the Diamondbacks had just won the World Series in this timeline.
Or a Diamondback shirt, but she's wearing a Royal shirt. Well, it's an old ratty shirt. Maybe she's from Kansas City. Or went to college in Kansas City or something. I don't know. I saw that too and was wondering, but yeah. That doesn't make any sense.
Don't have an answer on that. So like, I don't know. That's what that was like. I saw it and I was like, that's kind of weird because I don't think Mike was listening to the baseball. It wasn't at a Kansas City Royals game. I can tell you that. Especially in that early 2000s. They were not good.
The Royals were horrible then. They were horrible. Yeah. No, that's a good call. I thought about that too. I was like, she's wearing a Royals shirt. That's different. That's different. Yeah. Nice shout out.
Yeah.
That was a great poll. All right. Midlife crisis moment.
All right, there's a Reddit thread on this actually.
Okay, you read the Reddit thread. I'll do my midlife crisis moment. So, the one I thought of is Jimmy, and when you have everyone has those moments sometimes. Well, it's Jimmy and Kim where you have to earn back trust, and it feels like it's just you're never going to do it because perception has been shifted, and you know what the perception is now, and now you're being watched. Every decision is completely scrutinized, and no matter what you do, you can't make the right call or do the right thing because everything is going to be questioned no matter what. I've been there. I've been there for Jimmy and for Kim and what they're going through, and it sucks. So yes, I know that feeling, and yeah, they're in the middle of it.
Yeah, mine was not as interesting as that. Mine was because I like South Pacific. South Pacific was what I could think of at that point. It's a great musical by Rodgers and Hammerstein. Like my mom had us watch Sound of Music, which I still think is like a top 100 movie of all time for me because it just it's built into my childhood because I watched it so much. And so South Pacific, which I've watched, probably my second most watched Roger and Hammerstein musical, and then like State Fair or in Oklahoma. But still, like South Pacific, it's a really fun, entertaining. There's some really catchy, quirky songs there. And even my banner, Nothing Like a Saul, it plays off of that stuff. So yeah, that's what I would have to say. Is like when I heard the song, I was like, oh, he's singing it the same exact way. It's kind of awesome. So maybe I hadn't thought about that movie.
He did a good job. He's got a decent voice.
I hadn't thought about that movie in a long time, so it was kind of cool to get some of those memories. So
yeah, that was good. That was good. All right, what'd you find from your Reddit thread?
So supposedly, the show was set in 2002 when the Royals went to 62-100 and Nefi Perez was the starting shortstop. So it isn't a matter of the producers jumping on the background. They said the series takes place in Albuquerque. We reached out to a source in AMC which broadcast the show about the shirt, a choice made with thought and intention. That's what they said. AMC had said. If you watch Breaking Bad, then you would know that every detail of the show is well thought out. So let's hear it.
Is this a detail that we need to find out later? Like maybe it's something that pops up later. Are you?
So they said that
Are you spoiler alerting here?
Kim is from that area, Nebraska.
Okay.
Kim is from. Is that where Saul is? Is he in Nebraska where that Cinnabon is?
Mm-hmm.
And Nebraska is in the Kansas City.
That's what I was wondering.
Royals.
Well, no. Nebraska. Did you really just say Nebraska is in Kansas City?
No.
I think you just said Nebraska is in Kansas City.
No, Nebraska is in the Kansas City Royals broadcasting area.
I love those redheads.
I know Kansas City is not in Nebraska.
You didn't say that. You said Nebraska was in Kansas City.
I stopped talking, and then yes, I know it's not.
I figured that had to be it because they were at her house. It's her shirt.
Yeah.
So she's got a Royal shirt. So she's from that area. That would make sense.
That makes sense. Okay, so but it's still it's interesting thought
because a subtle little reference to potentially.
It's not just a random Reddit.
Becomes interesting later.
Fox Sports also has an article on this.
Yeah, you stop looking stuff up because you're gonna find something you don't want to find.
Okay, well there we go.
Stop looking stuff up. You're gonna find something you don't want to find.
It's off. Okay, it's off. Okay.
Yeah. We got enough, and you probably actually pointed to something that'll be interesting later.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I got curiosity killed the cat. I guess that's something Saul would say. Probably.
Yeah. Okay. LVP.
Maturo and that henchman. Maturo and the henchman. I think. Yeah. I think they fell for the oldest trick in the book. It takes two guys to intimidate an old man.
My LVP is those stupid swirls in the commercial and the dumb voice they use.
It's a good call.
Like when that commercial came on, I was just like, oh, Jimmy's gonna flip out.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. I like that. Dumb.
And MVP.
All right. This is stupid. That song is hella catchy. When like the ending song he's like throwing out the cup holder in and everything. The ending song is Hina Hina by the Bombay Royale. It's like a band from Australia, but they also have like they go to different genres of music. So there's like an Indian subgenre that they play, and that's what it's from. I don't know. I
It
made
is
me
catchy.
download it. So there's a couple times Breaking Bad and Saul has done this to me where I had to like download it or find it. So yeah, good stuff. MVP. It has nothing to
I
do with
like
the
it.
episode essentially.
It's all good. No, it does. It does. The
It
music
does.
choices
It
are always
does.
awesome.
Yeah, but it's a 2012 song, which is funny. From a 2000 based in 2002. It's always funny
That
how
is
that.
funny.
Yeah.
All right, my MVP is Jimmy's mug, because it feels like just like a bargain bin. Like she found it at an AMPM or something. Yet that thing is more secure. Like it was full of coffee. He threw it on the floor basically, and not a drop spilled. I mean that
A bad shout out. That's a good call.
that's a good cup. That's a good cup.
It's a good cup. That's also a midlife crisis. You need to find a good cup so you don't spill a drop.
Can you imagine how much more upset he would have been if he had dropped it and it had spilled all over his shoes or something after sleeping in the nail salon? Like,
good point. Or sleeping in her bed. Yeah.
if the mug fits.
If the mug
All right.
fits.
What's going to happen next?
We'll figure out why she was wearing a royal shirt. No. Anyway. Man, I got changed my thought process on the Tuco stuff. I don't know if does Tuco stay in prison? Do they care about his testimony? Like that's his gun.
Oh, he's still in prison for a while. Remember, because it was just going to lessen his prison sentence. Like he would still he'd still be charged with battery. Like there's no way getting out of that.
That is true.
But just the illegal arms possession is going to cut like 10 years off his sentence.
Okay, so that would put it because this Breaking Bad takes place in 2000. So this has to happen then for it Breaking Bad to happen, essentially.
But you were also right that this might mean he comes back before the end of Better Call Saul. We might see. I think we have to see Tuco again because we got to know what happens to Nacho. Like where does Nacho end up in all this? And you have to think Nacho and Tuco hook back up at some point. So like, I think we will get that moment at some. We will get that moment at some point. It's just a matter of when. That was a Dexter reference, not a Breaking Bad reference.
Oh so, yeah, wrong show. My bad.
Watch yourself, Dokes. Yeah,
another sideshow possibility.
That would be a great sideshow possibility. But that would be like full on deep dive because we've both seen everything.
Yeah, and Todd would probably be joining us on that. That's. So that's good. Okay, so now that makes sense. It's been several weeks since it, so I'm getting refreshed up on some stuff too. But it's cool to think that like if for instance Mike doesn't take this deal, you know, some of the events don't take place in Breaking Bad. So if he doesn't, if he just says no. Either we don't see Mike in this Breaking Bad, or we don't see Hector, or we don't see most likely we don't see Mike, but we also don't see
Kaylee.
Yeah, we don't. There's certain things we wouldn't see in Breaking Bad. So it's but at the same time, it's a choice that Mike has to make on that because you can't say no when you have all that. They know where Kaylee. His granddaughter is now. They know probably where his daughter is, or his daughter-in-law.
Yeah, and it's the interesting thing about it being a spin-off prequel, because you get those moments where you go, "Oh, that's why this happens." Oh, that's why this happens, and it's hard to do it well. And Breaking Bad, I think, or Better Call Saul, and Breaking Bad are putting it all together really well and piecing this whole thing together. Which is funny because it was never intended to do that.
Yeah.
But they're putting it together and piecing this puzzle together and built this whole story around Jimmy to bring about the events of Breaking Bad. And I love those moments like we had with Hector and the cousins here, where like, okay, this leads to something else, and exactly what it leads to, I don't know. Does Kim take the job? That's I think the biggest question I had coming. Does Kim leave? I don't think she does. I think she stays put, because I think she sees it might feel like the right call, but she's seeing what Jimmy's going through, having done the right thing. And I think she sticks it out and suffers through Howard. Where does Chuck fall on the whole thing as she sees, or as he sees?
Chuck this episode,
she's back. We didn't see him at all, but she's back doing stuff. But at what cost? So I think that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I don't think she takes the job. I think that there's a possibility. Do you think that does Kim Wexler and Saul Goodman work together at any time?
No.
You don't think that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Nope. I think once Better Call Saul starts, he's on his own. I think he becomes his own thing, and Kim is too good to leave the big firm. Like, she's too straight-laced.
By the book, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's good. I think, yeah, when Better Call Saul hits, that's where he's definitely be working more with like the mics. We'll probably have some, more working with the criminal type of underground, Albuquerque area people as well. Will Wendy show up? No, probably not.
Wendy's got to show up at some point. You gotta think she shows up at some point.
Dun, dun, dun,
and her root beer.
And her root beer. Yeah, this is it's good. It's making us ask questions and kind of putting pieces together. I think having a prequel, usually it always is disappointing, but I don't think we haven't been disappointed. We may not like certain episodes as much as others, but I don't think we've been disappointed by our experience with Better Call Saul yet. So I think
4 episodes left in the season.
Yeah, anything can happen.
4 episodes left. Dude, does Jimmy last to the end of the season with Davis and Maine? When the season ends, is Jimmy still employed by Davis and Maine? What do you say?
Sandpiper will still be a thing, but not the Davis and Maine.
Yeah, I think he'll be done. He'll be done by the end of the season.
Like that's
and off of Sandpiper.
That's the season finale thing.
Yeah, it could be. It could be maybe before.
And I think Sandpiper still is going to be. They've invested too much time into just to drop it. So
I think it could potentially still be around, but I think Jimmy won't be a part of it anymore.
Yeah,
I think it might just be Kim's thing at that point. Kim and Howard and Chuck.
I think Jimmy could still be. She'll still reference.
Be working in like the background for Kim or something like that.
Yeah, asking questions about certain things. Yeah, I think back doing the shady stuff that she's not going to do. That could be interesting.
It's true.
All right. Well, that's a good spot to kind of end it.
I like it.
Turn in next week to find out that we're wrong about everything. And yeah, Almost Sideways Movie Podcast on YouTube and anywhere you're streaming podcasts. Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing, and being part of the conversation, more importantly. And we would love to read your comments out on the show here. Tell us your theories. Tell us how wrong we are. We won't read Todd's, though. But
yeah, don't give us any spoilers.
No spoilers.
Adam's not going to look up spoilers again. We're not going to let him do. We're not going to let him find random Reddit threads to deep dive in the middle of a show.
Go 2002, Mike Sweeney. No. That was probably their best hitter. Anyway.
Totally was.
Highest war, Mike Sweeney.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that said, we can do one thing.
Better call Saul.
Let's enjoy it.
Better call Saul.
Sit and spin, you buttholes.
Butthole.